We're live.
I see the red thing over there.
There you go. That's a start.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to some live Bourbon Buddies here. And we got a little special show going on here.
A special guest.
Yes.
A special guy.
Very, very absolutely special. And he's over, let me see, here. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, I'll lean out of the way.
Right there.
There
Adam, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, buddies. This is Adam coming in live from Rabbit Hole Distillery in Louisville, Kentucky. How y'all doing?
Nice.
Fantastic over here.
We're doing great over here.
Mhm.
This is exciting stuff.
Yeah, we're all warmed up right now. I've been drinking water and
Getting ready. Getting hydrated.
Yep, absolutely.
I've been drinking a form of water, so I hear you.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I mean that's the
It's okay.
yeah. That's
It's mostly water.
Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. And it has great color too.
Yeah.
So we got about 2 people just kind of bouncing in on here in the chat. There might be some lurkers. So, lurkers, if you're popping in, please make sure to comment, say hello to all of us while we get this thing rocking and rolling. So what we're going to do is have a cool show coming up here. And we're going to actually taste some Rabbit Hole and talk Rabbit Hole with Adam and just kind of discuss the whole lineup, the whole core lineup that you see in front of Adam, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful place he's got there. So,
Yeah, I spend a lot of time here. I probably spend more time here than I do at home, but
understandably.
I got a pretty good bar at home, but I don't know. It's not bad here.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I would just have a cot set up in the back. just sleep there. Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna taste
You want to so which 2 we have that we're able to get our hands on. So you want to start with that, or do you want to talk about your what you got there? Or
Yeah, let's start with what you got. Yeah, so you got what? You got Cavehill and Heigold, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's start with Cavehill. So Cavehill, the black label, that's actually it's kind of cool because you got Cavehill and Heigold because you've got the first bourbon that Cave, our founder, created, and then you've got the newest bourbon, which is Heigold that he created. So we're going to kind of bookend it here. A little bit about Rabbit Hole because I like talking about the start of Rabbit Hole with Cavehill and then kind of where we are now with Heigold because they kind of lend themselves really well to this story. It's actually pretty amazing how well they line up. Our founder and owner, Cave, he was a psychologist for 27 years. He was actually living in Chicago. So it's not your normal route that you're a psychologist for 27 years and then become a bourbon distiller. What sort of turned him onto that was a girl. A girl turned him onto that. Her name was Heather. She's from Louisville, just like I am. And she actually met Cave in Chicago and turned him into a bourbon drinker. Cave was already a big Scotch and gin guy. And so she sort of turned him away from those and into a bourbon drinker. And by the time they moved down here to Louisville and started a family, started a psychologist office together, he really fell in love with the history of bourbon and the city of Louisville, the people of the industry, just really fell deeply in love with it. And in fact, he looked at Heather one day and he said, honey, I want to sell the practice and I want to mortgage the house and I want to open a bourbon distillery. And she told him, this obsession of yours is going to lead the family down a rabbit hole and then there's no going back. And he loved that name. He loved that name. And he said, it's a great homage to Heather too, is that really, sure, Cave created the bourbon, right? And really, spearheaded this. But if it wasn't for Heather, if it wasn't for her, there would not be a rabbit hole. He wouldn't have discovered this passion, right? So it really comes down to her. So Cavehill really is all about that discovery of what makes bourbon bourbon, but also what to do a little bit different because, by the time Cave sort of, started working his way into bourbon, we'd walk into a liquor store and see 30 bottles on the shelf, but it's like 4 people making everything and you can't tell where anything came from. And I think that really frustrated him. So he figured, if I'm going to make a bourbon, I'm going to put on the label, I'm going to put my mash bill, I'm going to shout out our cooperage, which is Kelvin Cooperage. He's going to put everything he can, even the minimum age on these bottles, the very minimum that's going to go in there, he puts on every single label because he wants all of you to know exactly what's in there. Now, there's kind of a little bit of trickery here too, a little, because you look at the mash bill on Cavehill, and I think the first thing that a lot of people pick up on is there's no rye in Cavehill, right? It's a 4-grain bourbon. Wheat is in there. It's malted wheat. There's 10% malted wheat in there. But wheat is not really the secondary flavoring grain. So you think you're going to taste this and nose it, and it's going to be really soft and really silky. But this has a really big spice to it and a really big sort of sweetness on the finish that doesn't match up with what that mash bill sort of says. And it's really because of the honey malted barley that we use is really, it's giving a lot of the honey. And then the barrels that we're using, those Kelvin barrels, they're toasted and charred over oak fires, not gas flame. They toast them and char them. And that actually gives a little bit more spice. So I know a lot of people that try this blind and they're like, wow, how much rye is in this? There's no rye at all in Cavehill. Now, I will say this before we get going, like really deep into the tasting notes of this. I want to do something that's really it's really special to me, and I really want everybody in the chat that's watching this, try and do this with us because I love this. I feel like you can learn a lot from somebody by asking where they grew up, what high school they went to, are they a dog or cat person, do they like pickles or mustard, like whatever, right? But you don't really know somebody until you have a drink with them, right?
That's fair.
So.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers
to that.
Cheers, buddies, right?
Yes.
About it.
We've got all kinds of buddies and budettes in here. Well, cheers to Guy. We got Guy Davis in the house.
What's up, Guy?
We got Whiskey Jason, which I think Whiskey Jason's from Germany, I believe.
Yeah.
I could be
We're
wrong.
going to talk about some German stuff here in a minute,
Oh.
Jason. So you held on. We're going to talk some
That's-
German here in a minute. Yeah, right.
We got Kevin in the house.
That's my brother. What's up, Kev?
The old bro. We got the old Trev Wilson, the wrench. There he is. He's getting thirsty too.
There he is.
Aren't we all, right? We're all thirsty.
Absolutely.
We have Ryan Tarpey in the house. Ryan's the man. He's always joining us. Will Henderson.
Will, he's the man. I'll
Yeah,
tell you, he's a great guy.
He blinds like no other person. My God.
Yeah, he does.
Man,
got
that's a
Dave-
humbling thing right there.
Right?
Those bourbon blinds, right? Oof.
Yeah,
That's humbling.
you think you know, and you don't.
Yeah, that's why I don't do it live.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't
Yeah,
have the courage.
yeah, we did it a couple times. We're like, oh God, what do we do? We got Jay from Bourbon and a Baby here.
Hey, what's up, Jay? How you doing, man?
And I think I'm caught up. And yes, Whiskey Jason is from Germany, by the way.
Awesome.
Yes.
We'll get back to you in a minute, Jason. Don't worry.
This has a really interesting nose on this. I honestly, I'm getting like a sweet apple.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very
it's very
sweet.
apple.
Spot on.
Yeah, it's almost not what you expect.
Yeah, because it changed on obviously first cracking it open, and then it just kind of morphed. It was like just totally morphed from the beginning to right now, even just this little bit of time in here.
Well, there's quite a complexity to 4 grains, right? I think that when Cave really, really started getting obsessed with bourbon, a big part of his development in this industry was researching the history of bourbon and American whiskey. And one of the things that he learned is that before Prohibition, there were like 500 distilleries in Kentucky. After Prohibition, that number fell to 13, and even today we're at like 60. I mean, we're not even close to where we were pre-Prohibition. So you start really thinking about that, and a lot of the mash bills just sort of disappeared, right? Those distilleries came in that kind of bought up, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but they kind of conglomerized, right? They bought up all those smaller distilleries and all their stocks, and that's why everything sort of went one of two ways. It was rye was the secondary flavoring grain, or wheat was the secondary flavoring grain. So you've got wheaters and rye bourbons and high ryes, but I mean, 4 grains, that was a big thing back in the day. It was really out of necessity. What am I growing? What can I use? What can I make that sort of stands me out from the rest of the crowd? And, Cave, I think could have very easily gone out and sourced a bunch of high rye bourbon and put his label on it and made $1 million and walked away. There's no legacy to that. There's no fun to that. And it's all white noise. It doesn't mean anything. It's not distinct. You want to be distinct
Right.
in this industry. And Cave is a distinct dude, right? So he wants to make something distinct. So do a 4-grain, but don't even do your normal 4-grain. People hear 4-grain and they think, it's corn and then wheat and rye and malted barley.
Right.
This has 30% malt in it. I mean, 30% malt in this. And so that one really comes from that idea. He was a Scotch drinker, so he understood malt. He was he understood pre-prohibition mash bills. So let's start exploring that sort of side of it. And it ends up giving you this incredibly complex, distinct, unlike anything else out there. And I think that, once he sort of grabbed onto that original mash bill, he really, really understood the passion that it took to do this right. And like we say in here, find what you do or find what you love and go all in. Amare et opus, love and work. That's actually Cave's family crest. And that love and work, once you find your passion, there's no going back. There's absolutely no going back at that point. And I think that Cavehill really personifies that sort of passion that Cave has.
Yeah, I mean, I can see how this would actually, I think you could hook a lot of Scotch drinkers on this. And I'm assuming it's that malt in there. It's a little bit more delicate on the palate, but it finishes it's still hanging on.
It really is.
Finishes really well, but it's just like real soft on the palate and almost feels, I don't want to use the word light in a bad way. It's very like gentle on the palate, but then just
that's not a bad thing. Yeah, that's not a bad thing. I think that there's these kind of trends in bourbon, and so it's like barrel strength everything, or single barrel everything, and those aren't bad things. I mean, listen, I love some high proofs and I love single barrels, but I think there was this sort of thing: if it's not heavy, it's not good or something. That's not true. It's all about balance, right? And so when you start thinking about the flavors of this and the textures of Cavehill, well, that malted wheat is going to lend a lot of softness. Well, to counteract that softness, let's bring some spice in, right? And then to counteract that spice, let's make sure there's sweet. So that's why Cavehill really starts with a lot of that spice, like baking spices like clove and allspice. That green apple, that sweet apple you're talking about, green apple or pear, right in the mid palate, that really lifts it up. And then that sort of sweet, like vanilla caramel sort of finish balances it out. But you don't want that to be heavy-handed, because you don't want to just drink one and never want to go back for more, right? This pulls you back in because it's light enough that you're not gonna burn yourself out on the flavors here. It just, every time you take a drink, it changes, it morphs just a little bit. And I think we owe a lot of that to the complexity of the grains, the barrels that we're using, and then also everything is such small batch here. I mean, 15 barrels or less. This bottle of Cavehill might taste just a little bit different than the next bottle of Cavehill you open. The next one might have a little more of spice in it, or a little more vanilla caramel to it, or a little more green apple. And for us, that's like the thrill of the chase, that creation, that exploration, that's thrilling. And I think that really lends itself to this brand very well.
I think that's a great point. I think the focus on grains is something that, as I think we were talking, Adam, about, a while back, we were talking about wine. And I think if you focus on grains and terroir of of the grains themselves, or where they're growing, I think, it really does make a difference when you look at, different expressions of whiskey. Where they grew, and also where the oak is coming from. Because we have a couple, we have a whiskey, I guess out west in Pennsylvania that they source oak trees from north. So, so it's kind of like, a different flavor profile that you're getting. So all those things kind of factor in, which is just super cool. So,
and I mean, you don't have to stop there with terroir either, right? I mean, you're right, I came from the wine world, and terroir is such a big part of the wine world. It really is a bigger part of the whiskey world than a lot of people realize, because it's not even just went into the bottle. And I'm glad you brought up barrels, because I think people forget that the barrel is such a huge ingredient. But let's talk about aging, right? You can take 2 barrels with the same mash bill, same age, they're right next to each other in a warehouse, and they produce drastically different whiskeys, because every single barrel is different. Warehouse to warehouse will be different, as well, right? The warehouses have different terroirs. And so I think that is starting to really make its way in the whiskey world among consumers about how big of a difference that can truly make.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you think about a barrel, just with all the different pieces of oak that make the barrel, all the different grains, it's almost like a fingerprint. Everyone is going to be slightly different.
Absolutely.
Right. And then
that's an excellent point.
You have a warehouse, and it's like, well, if one gets more sun than the other and the temperature fluctuates a little bit more, and just how a barrel breathes and all those things are gonna make a huge impact on what you get out of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's an excellent point. I mean, well, let's explore that even more. I mean, go ahead and pour up Heigold, and let's talk about that as well, right? So, on paper, we were just talking wine, right? So you can have 2 red wines, and both of those red wines are going to go good with a hamburger or steak, right? Yep. But if you're really, really get into it and you're starting to talk about, let's say you're doing like a pepper crusted ribeye versus a sous vide filet, you can probably pick 2 different red wines that are going to exploit those flavors and either compare and contrast to them much differently, right? Absolutely. So Heigold on paper looks so similar to Cavehill. It's 70% corn, 30% malted grain. It's 95 proof, about the same age, same barrels from Kelvin that are toasted and charred over oak fires. But just the difference of that secondary grain being, not being a 4-grain bourbon, now it's 25% malted rye and 5% malted barley. It makes it a completely different animal. It'll pair differently. It's going to lay on the palate differently. And we were just talking to Jason, right? This rye grain is actually German rye. This malted rye comes from Germany. And the reason we did that is because we named this after a German immigrant that was a huge figure in Louisville history named Christian Heigold. Christian was a stonemason that lived here in the 1850s, really changed the face of Louisville. And so Cave really wanted to dedicate a bottle to Christian. And that's why we came up with Heigold, and that's why we're using German malted grain. And this one really, even though it's a high rye, I think Cavehill is actually spicier than Heigold in many respects, especially on the nose. The nose is it's just butterscotch and orange peel to me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, lots of orange. It's just it's just citrusy. It's like
those orange what are they called? The orange slice candies.
That's the little orange. I know you're talking about the little candied orange slices or whatever. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I totally get that.
That's like Jeff and I kind of, I think, really gravitate to higher rye in your typical mash bills. Just
you're from Pennsylvania.
Exactly. I think it's in our blood.
Yeah, it could be in our blood.
Because that's where rye. That's where it all kind of. That was the mecca.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like, I do like interesting things, and I think that if you have whiskeys that are trying different things and expressing themselves, with the grains, I think is really cool. Just doing that malted rye instead of high malted rye or high malted barley or whatever that you're doing to change it up. And I think that's really cool. It's just something different that you can kind of throw in there rather than like we were talking with the typical, your typical, high corn and, everything else to follow. So I think it's really cool.
And just kind of are basically relying on like just aging to be the deciding factor. There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of things you can actually experiment with to create something that's unique, but also good. Because we talk about like finished whiskeys and stuff a lot, and how that can be amazing or it can go horribly wrong.
Of course. Right? Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've run into that here. I mean, we'll kind of talk about it here in a second, but Derringer, that is a finished whiskey for us. That is a bourbon that we finished in Pedro Jimenez sherry casks. And we have to be so careful. I mean, it's a terrible job, guys, just tasting through this stuff all the time. It's awful. But we really do it for a reason. Not only those small batches to maintain that thrill of exploration, but also we don't want to get ahead of ourselves and just start throwing barrels into this huge batch because we need to make our numbers or something. We're never going to do that. With Derringer, you can very easily over sherry. These casks are sometimes 20, 30 years old that we're getting, and you can very easily over sherry. And then it's not bourbon anymore. It's not a bourbon finished in sherry casks. It's a sherry that just happens to be bourbon first. Like, you know what I mean? It's
it's like thing. Yep.
Mhm.
It's not doesn't
And
have
that's fun.
It's a balance. It just overpowers, and it's like sherry flavored bourbon.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which, you know, it's not
Necessarily a
terrible,
bad thing, but
this
it might not be where you want to go.
no, if you want to make sherry, that's your animal. We're not making sherry. We're making bourbon. So it's interesting about the Heigold, though, right? How different it is than Cavehill. I mean, just exactly opposite.
Absolutely.
You know, it's reminding me. I don't know if it's just that it's implanted in my brain right now, but it's kind of very cereal kind of notes going, like almost like you know, what you would get out of a beer, and it's kind of like it's got that.
The malt.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's totally. I mean, it's got. I would almost peg this as having wheat in it.
Yes.
So I would.
So
I
that's the big
totally
thing,
agree.
right?
I could see that.
So
for
I'm going to say something that is going to like make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up because it's so like corny marketing. But you know, you're subverting expectations when you look at these, right? When you hear that this is a high rye, right? You poor man, I feel sorry for you. I hear you, guys. It's tough. It's a tough life.
Tough job.
But you know, you look at this and you see high rye bourbon, and you expect spice bomb, and then you see, you know, a wheated. We don't call it a wheated bourbon, but a bourbon that has wheat in it, right? You expect it to be like a wheated bourbon, very soft, and they're backwards from that. And I think that's all about, you know, finding the passion and being different and being distinct, not just for different sake. We're not being different just to be different. We're being different because we just are different in the way we think of things. I mean, who thinks of whiskeys like varietals? Like this, like, you know, we're talking about wine. No one else thinks of whiskeys like varietals like that. We really do here. I mean, you know, right now, I know that Cave and Michael were in the building a couple of minutes ago. Michael Matomedy, who's our chief marketing officer, you know, those were, you know, the founder and the number 2 hire for Rabbit Hole. They were just in here doing a video for the James Beard Foundation, you know, and so that's because we sponsor the James Beard Foundation, because we think about our whiskeys like varietals from a culinary standpoint. And you've got to be willing to take a huge chance when you do things like that. I mean, malted rye is crazy. And also, I'll tell you, who knows what these two are going to do in a couple of years. I mean, I don't think anybody knows what malted wheat and honey malted barley are going to do in a barrel, or malted rye are going to do in a barrel in 10 years. We're along for the ride. You know, we make the bourbon, but it ends up making us sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It just you take it for wherever it goes.
That's kind of, and there again, you can relate that to wine. I mean, you know how it is from year to year. Just that 1 year difference, you get into the whole thing. It's completely different animal the next year.
Exactly. I don't want to dwell too much on these other ones because you don't have any, but I do want to just really point out, you know, before we go on to our next thing, that we do have a rye whiskey, you know, Boxer Grail, which is a 95.5 rye. And that rye grain is Canadian, so completely different rye grain too.
That's
why
cool.
use the same rye grain? So it's that's a celebrated rye mash bill, right? 95.5. It's celebrating the rye, showcasing the rye. Lots of butterscotch. But you know, we'll do another one of these next year, and we'll see if we can get these bottles on right. Derringer is our sherry finished wheated bourbon. So this is a wheated bourbon that's like 5 to 7 years old. That's finished in Pedro Jimenez sherry casks for like 6 months, and that is, it is nice. That is a really nice one. But then, of course, we do have this. This right here is our Founders Collection. It is our very first limited bottle. This is Founders Collection Boxer Grail cask strength. This came out of 7 total barrels, so it's only about 1,300 total bottles. It is 6 years old. And I did pour myself some of that tonight because selfish man. It is.
Oh yes.
If you see this, you have to buy it. You have to buy this if you see it. This is already on many people's lists of World Whiskey of the Year, and I'm just really going to show you this. You're going to love this. Let me just
get it close.
Show off those legs. Look how thick those legs are. This is not. It's insane how slowly it makes its way down the glass. I mean, this is 114 proof, right? But just like everything else in our line, it's non-chill filtered. We don't chill filter a single thing. We like all the oil in there. And this is just a creamy, oily rye whiskey. And it's I'm really happy with this one. Like super happy with it.
Awesome.
Yeah. If that's what I can't believe, like, I can't remember what was at the store that, when we went to go, pick up bottles, and it was like, it was.
I didn't see it, but I would imagine if it was a case, it was probably that way.
Yeah, it was in a case
because he keeps all the pricier stuff in a case.
You got to go back and get that
this
one.
This guy's credit. I mean, he
knows whiskey.
He knows whiskey. Yeah, I mean, he does a ton of store picks and things like that. So and
it's incredibly limited. I mean, if you see that bottle, I absolutely recommend. Go out and buy it. I will tell you. I mean, the whiskey is amazing, but I am going to tell you this. This is so cool. So first of all, this cork on top. It's got that seal I was talking about. Let me see if I can get this where you can see it. This is Cave's family crest. And so it says Amare et Opus, right? And that is love and work. But are you ready for this? You ready? I hope I don't break anything.
Oh, magnetic.
It is like 40 pounds, this cork. It is insane. It will, if you break it, I mean, if you drop it on your foot, you're like break a toe. It's insane.
Oh, my God.
But that is. So, yeah, I mean, it feels substantial because it is substantial. And so I just tell people, if you see this, you absolutely have to buy it and share it. Pour it out for friends and family, because we always like to say, enjoy your whiskey, but enjoy it with those you love too, because it's such an important thing.
Absolutely. You just don't know when, your time's up, and you don't know when somebody else's time's up. And it's like, it's great to share memories with somebody and make memories with whiskey. And I think it's something that I think if you get into whiskey, I think that's something that you're gravitated, or you gravitate towards, Yeah,
I mean, I think we all get into that place where we were talking before we started about where you don't want to finish a bottle and that kind of thing. And it's like, but I mean, literally you can't take it with you.
Nope.
So if you don't enjoy it now, you may never get to, and it could go bad like we were talking about, but it could just be you never used it. So what was the point of even buying it?
Yeah.
And there's always more out there. There's always more whiskey. You can always find more.
That's true.
There's always
maybe not more of one specific one. And once this one is gone, you can't find any more of that. But we will be doing more Founders collections. We're planning to release 2 a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. So we've got another one coming next spring, and I'm really excited about that one. That's going to be even better, I think.
Are you guys looking to change up? Just kind of like, what are you looking to do? The same kind of, the same release, or are you looking to change up?
Oh, you're talking about with Founders?
Yeah, with Founders.
Yeah, it won't be like Boxer Grail again, a little bit older or anything. They will change, absolutely. It's going to be a really, really interesting thing to see every single year. Now, you all think that I am really interesting?
Oh, absolutely.
These people just walked in the distillery. I don't even know who they are. And ladies and gentlemen, this is Cave.
Hey.
This is Michael.
Oh,
these
pleasure.
are really, really. You think I'm a special guy? You got nothing on me. These are the people here.
Because we're around this guy all the time. Say hello. Just wanted to say hello, guys. Enjoy the tour.
Hey, thank you
very much.
That is special right there. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's a special one right there.
That is.
It's always good to see the guy himself behind this.
Yeah, we're just talking about it. It was like, boom.
Yep.
It's amazing people. I will tell you, I'm a really lucky guy. Cave kind of poached me from another job before I had Rabbit Hole as a tour guide. I came on as a tour guide, and very quickly, I think he recognized that I was super passionate and has really just welcomed me into his family. And every day is such an adventure here, and I feel really lucky to be part of a company that treats me like I'm family. I mean, like truly treats me like I'm family.
And it's amazing how you didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Right? Nope. Didn't see it
I thought they were gone, honestly. I knew they were here earlier. I thought they were gone by now.
No, I meant your job though. Oh yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I mean, I was in the industry. I've been in the industry for about 15 years. And I was actually working, I was running the bourbon program for a retailer. And somebody from Rabbit Hole came in and they started talking to me. And they're like, wow, you know a lot about bourbon. And you ever worked at a distillery? And I was like, oh my God, no. And I did love my job at the time. And they asked me, hey, why don't you come by and see? And I was like, no, I'm okay. And then Cave came in and he convinced me to come just take a tour with him. And halfway through the tour, I realized that it was an interview. And I was all in.
Tricked you.
That's awesome.
I was all in. There was no going back. Like we say, there was no going back at that point.
That's awesome. That's a cool story, man.
Yeah.
you never know when things are coming. Like things are coming your way. You never know when that next blessing is going to happen. You really don't.
That's why enjoy what you enjoy with those that you love, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and we appreciate you like joining us.
Yeah,
Adam.
this is good.
This is awesome. We love it.
I have a good time. I know I have a good time with this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'll tell you what. We got to go back to the store and
see what else we can get. Yeah,
yeah. Because honestly, we've never tried Rabbit Hole.
No.
We've seen it at the store, and it was one of those.
Well,
do
we have it here in PA?
We don't have it in PA. You might be able to special order it in PA.
So Pennsylvania is a control state, and I know that they've got it where it's on like the special orders page, so they can definitely get it for you. You just have to ask.
Right.
Yeah.
And most retailers aren't going to be like, "No, I don't want your money." Right. So they're going to order it for you. They're going to order it for you.
Yeah, we can definitely have that happen.
Yeah.
But in New Jersey, we do see it. So we do see that there.
Very cool.
Well, Adam, do you want to play a little bit of a game here?
Let's play. You know
right.
I'm always up to play games.
Wonderful. So this is going to be on bourbon knowledge. Okay. And we're going to kind of put you on the spot a little bit. Now, with this, you have
Neil dreamt this up. So
I was dreaming and I just dreamt it. So we created this.
I feel
game.
like my lifelines actually just walked out the door too. We would have been like 5 minutes earlier on this, and we're like, Cave, I need,
friend. Yeah, if you get yourself a friend.
Plus, filed out of the bond act. I don't
You can use the chat too. So
these are some good guys in the chat. So if they can help you, they will.
Oh yeah,
perfect.
All right. So I'm gonna share my screen here. Let's see what we got here. So give me 1 second. All right, let's put this on here.
You're clicking stuff pretty fast.
I'm just clicking all kinds of stuff.
You know what you're doing because I'm like, what?
I think I know what I'm doing, right? It's on there.
Well, you got me fooled, buddy. That's all that matters.
So I think everyone can see that, right? I think we're good, right? I think I did it.
I think you did it.
Yeah, I think I did it. All right. So what we're going to do is this is just the typical format of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, but we're going to do Who Wants to Be a Bourbonaire. So these are going to be kind of like general questions about bourbon history. It's going to start out easy, get a little bit harder. I don't know if any of these are going to be really, really tough for you though. So
it doesn't sound.
Never know. I could be a fan, guys. It could all be an act. I don't know.
You might be able to rock through these. Okay. So
don't expect a check.
Yeah, absolutely. And then everybody else that's in the chat, if you want to follow along, see if you can, try to test yourself, because Adam might need to use you as a lifeline if it happens. So.
There's going to be some serious like Google searching going on in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man.
All right, so here we go. Let's do it.
You got the questions all?
I got the questions all figured out. You ready? All right, here we go. So the first question is $100 here, Adam. You ready for this one?
Ready.
Who invented bourbon? Four choices. You have William LaRue Weller. B is George T. Stagg. C is the answer is unknown. Or D, George Washington.
It's tough, but I'm going to have to go C. Final answer.
Guess what, Adam? I think you are absolutely correct. 100%. Yes.
I'm 100-aire. Who wants to be 100-aire? Excellent.
Who wants to be 100-aire? You got $100, but we don't have $100. So we're just going to say
like
we
Monopoly money.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'll take it. I'm a big gamer, so I'll take the Monopoly money whenever I can get it.
All right, we'll move to 200. So that one was easy because, like a lot of people say Evan Williams, Elijah Craig, all this stuff, but
there's a lot of speculation.
We don't know.
Yeah, speculation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so by law, bourbon must be aged in what? A, American oak barrels. B, oak containers. C, white American oak barrels. Or D, new charred oak containers.
I'm going to go with D. Final answer.
D, final answer. Let's see if you're correct here.
Do we have a way to fact check this, buddy? If we're
Yes, there's ways to fact check this. And you're right.
Excellent. I'm a $200 heir now. Awesome.
$200. We're right on the money. I think that one like kind of goofs people up because I think with, I think they're thinking that it has to be American oak barrels and, so
it could be Limousin oak from France. Could be any oak in the world. But the reason that everybody uses white American oak, it's the least porous of any of the oaks out there. It's one of the fastest growing oaks in the world, believe it or not. So even though we kind of went through a little bit of a crisis, a shortage of oak, but also has some of the highest sugar content of any oak in the world. It must be because it's
really?
American.
So it's just used because of all those reasons. It's not
absolutely. Also, it's closer than French Limousin oak. it's a lot easier to get.
It's really easy to get your hands on that.
Exactly.
What is Thomas Jefferson? I love that one. All right, next one. By law, how long must bourbon be aged? Is there A, no minimum requirement, B, 2 years, C, 4 years, D, 1 year?
A, final answer, no minimum requirement to be bourbon.
You know what, Adam? I have to say that you are correct. Absolutely. $300. Look at that.
I will tell you, one of my favorite things to talk about whenever we talk about like the laws of bourbon is, let's say that this is a new charred oak barrel and you got at least 51% corn whiskey made in the United States, yada, 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 right? You suspend it in space, you knock the bottom off, knock the top off, you take that corn whiskey, you pour it through the middle, it doesn't even touch the barrel. Up here it's whiskey, down here it's bourbon.
Oh
I love that. I think that's great. I think it's amazing.
Fantastic. Didn't like Pabst Blue Ribbon do like some kind of like where they like age the whiskey for like a couple seconds or something?
Yeah, I think it was something like that, or was it them or like Rogue maybe? And it was you have to
somebody.
put it like on the label, like it's 1 microsecond old or whatever. Yeah.
Yep. And it was like,
it just like splashed its way through.
It kind of looked like gin stored in a shoe for a few months. Like it was just very lightly colored. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I'm sure it was delicious. Whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was very tasty. All right, we got a $500 question. This is before we hit our next echelon. All right. So by law, what is the minimum bottling proof of bourbon? 80 proof, 100 proof, and then C, if I can see it here in a second. There it goes. 80 proof or 50 proof.
So not even bourbon, but 80 proof to be whiskey. To be whiskey, 80 proof.
80 proof?
Absolutely 100% correct. You got it. 80 proof. Anything below that? Not.
I wonder why that was the cutoff. Is there a reason why that was the cutoff?
Hopefully that's not the $1 million question because I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm just curious where that came about.
I don't know. I would imagine it's probably some sort of quality control measure like everything else. But
that's because it's like if there was no, they'd come out at like 8%. Oh yeah, there's, you know what I mean? They'll just keep.
Well, it's a nice bourbon and 4 proof.
Yeah.
Just the tip bourbon. That's a brilliant. All right, you ready? You ready for 1,000? Here we go. So, what is straight bourbon? Is this aged 2 years in the product of a single distiller, aged 4 years in a product of a single state, aged in Kentucky for 2 years, or aged 2 years in a product of a single state?
Aged 2 years in a product of a single state. I think to be straight bourbon, it must be aged. I know it has to be aged 2 years. Does it have to be? It doesn't have to be 2 years of Kentucky because that's just Kentucky straight bourbon, right? So, I mean, I guess A. I don't know. I might be wrong on this one.
Do you want to do like a 50-50, a phone a friend?
You know, I think maybe I should. I'm gonna go to the chat on this one.
Got it. So we're going to the chat.
Boys.
Yeah.
Get us here, guys. What do we got? We might need a lawyer. if you're that small. Oh,
Oh man.
oh my
Yeah.
God. Yes. We'll see who comes up here. I don't know if we're.
But everybody fall asleep on us.
No, they're there. They're there.
Yeah, I mean, to be straight bourbon, I know it's got to be 2 years old. It's got to be. I mean, there's a few things with straight bourbon. You know, I mean, it has to be the new charred oak.
Right.
Single state? I don't think so. Is it a single distiller? I think we're thinking bottled and bond at that point, right? So
which one are you going to go with?
I guess we're gonna go. It must be a higher. It must be aroused by a higher proof.
Yeah. I don't think you're gonna get too much out of this group.
I'm gonna go A. I'm hearing A in the chat. So you know what? I think it's A. Final answer.
Got it. So this is going to be. I'm going to let you go on this because this is technically from what I found, it has to be in that state. But what we're going to do is we're going to accept A or D. We're just going to accept it because the chat went with A, so we have to go with that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've never heard it had to be in a single state, but I mean, I guess maybe that's when you're from Kentucky, it's going to all be from Kentucky. So I've never really thought about going to another state from it. You know, I mean, I guess
everyone's going with A. We're gonna go with A, Adam.
You're being too kind to me. You're being too kind.
We got about three more minutes for until I hit my eject button.
Well, no, he has and 3 minutes. He has 5 minutes, so we got 8 minutes.
Yes, here we go. Yeah, we're wrong, by the way. Thanks, Will. All right, so we're going to go 2,000. You've reached the 1,000 milestone.
All right.
When it comes to bourbon, how many distillation seasons are there? Is there 1, 2? Do I have 3 there?
Yeah, I would imagine. That stupid bar.
3 and 4.
I would say it's 1. I mean, a distilling season is just a season, right? A.
Final answer.
Final answer.
Here we go.
Oh no, it is 2. No, you're right. It is 2. It is 2. I knew that. I knew that.
So elaborate for me. Elaborate. Why is it 2?
So because you have a fall season, you have a spring season. That is absolutely true, and it really comes down to the grain that's growing, and also like your rotation, right? Your rotation. So of course,
right.
It's 2. That's.
You knew that. That was just.
See, this is why I live in the bottle, not outside the bottle. This is why I don't have Cave's job.
You know what it is? Is you're overthinking it. That's always my excuse, and it happens. I start thinking too deeply about stuff. It's simple.
Yeah. We're gonna keep going though, Adam, because we don't actually have real money, so we can't really hold you
either. Don't worry.
So you're still a Bourbonaire no matter what.
Yeah, we can pay you in bourbon and maybe something else, but
I'll take it.
Okay. All right. So bourbon can't exceed what proof off the still? 140, 125, 145, 160.
160 all the way. D.
160. Here we go. Ready? Oh. 125.
I thought you could.
What did I do?
No, that is definitely wrong.
Yeah,
I think that's definitely wrong. So it can't enter the barrel.
Can't enter the barrel at higher
125.
125.
He needs to be here to fact check.
Yeah. And in fact, we go way up.
What did I do?
We actually enter the barrel at 110 at Rabbit Hole. We take it way under 125. But yeah, so it cannot exceed 160 to be bourbon.
See,
that one I do know. That one I do know.
Yeah, what the heck happened on that one?
Okay, so we have 5 minutes before you have to go.
It's okay. It's making me feel better about my bad answers.
Yeah, because now look, I was just wrong on that. What the hell did I do there? I hit 125.
Maybe you just when you made the thing.
Maybe I was thinking like, oh, I want to put it in the barrel right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All right, we're gonna go to the $8,000 question. Who named the area in Kentucky Bourbon County? Is it Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, John Adams, or James Madison?
Wow, that's a really good one. I am going to go with James Madison.
James Madison.
I don't know. I mean, let's go 50-50. Let's use my 50-50 and find out.
Want to use the 50-50? Okay.
Yeah, let's use the 50-50.
Since this is a little bit of a ghetto version, I just have to say which ones I'm eliminating. So I'm eliminating George Washington and James Madison.
Okay. So then it's probably Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. Let's see what we got. Is it TJ? Oh, it's TJ.
TJ.
What a genius.
Yeah. I mean, he was that big French dude. So, I mean, he loved.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
So of course, he had to name it.
He did love the French. It's
He
very
did.
true. Really love the French.
Yeah, he really did. All right, 16,000. Which president enacted the Bottle and Bond Act of 1897? So we all know that, of course, the act, but who is the president that put that in?
Who's responsible?
Is it Chester A. Arthur? Do we have William McKinley, Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison?
Well, it wasn't Benjamin Harrison because Benjamin Harrison died like 40 days into his presidency because he got a cold at his inauguration. It wasn't William McKinley, I don't believe, because he was assassinated pretty early in his presidency. And then it comes down to Chester A. Arthur or Grover Cleveland. I think I got to go Chester A. Arthur. I think Grover Cleveland was too late. Am I right on that? I'm going to go A, final answer, I think.
I just want to throw in that I'm impressed with his history now.
I know.
I really love presidents. I can't lie. I love presidential history. I think it's really cool. And I'm going to be so sad if I get this wrong.
So just to let you know, you are super close because it was Grover Cleveland.
Oh, man. I thought maybe he was a little too late. I thought he was a little too late. I was thinking Grover Cleveland was into the 20th century, but I guess it's okay. I'll take it.
So enough.
I will fact check this afterwards, though.
Honestly, so the Grover Cleveland thing is, remember, he served 2 terms, but they weren't consecutive.
That's right.
Right?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
That threw me off. That must have been it.
See, even if we get an answer wrong here, we'll still make a good excuse for it.
Adam, we got from being super personable.
Yeah. Do you actually maybe we should just do you want to do one more or do you want to stop?
No, you're fine. We can keep going. You're good. You're good. Don't worry about it.
All right, we'll do one more here. This is it.
Go for the $1 million question. Hook them up.
We'll just go all in.
Yeah.
Should we go $1 million?
No. We can finish this out. That's okay. Let's finish it out. Absolutely.
All right. So, which whiskey did the original mint julep call for? So, was it Woodford Reserve, Early Times, Four Roses, or Old Taylor?
It's probably Woodford, but it might have been Early Times. I'm going to go Woodford. I'm going to go Woodford on this just because Woodford's pretty old.
And it is official right now, but I don't know about the history. So that
I know, right? I mean, it might be Early Times, but I don't know. I'm going to go A, Woodford Reserve.
Go A?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to act like you didn't say that because it's Early Times.
It is Early Times. Like I knew it wouldn't be Four Roses. It's definitely not Old Taylor, but either or, right?
So originally, because I know. See, I think it's a good way to get confused though, because now Woodford is the official
right. That's the confusing.
But Early Times does still put out a mint julep. They still put out a mint julep bottle. So
yep, good old Early Times. I'll tell you
and
what.
I think when you go to Churchill Downs for the Derby, Woodford is the official sponsor, but you kind of find Early Times mint juleps all over the place in Churchill. So
yeah.
Oh really?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely.
If you're not in Millionaire's Row, you're probably drinking Early Times mint juleps, honestly.
Absolutely.
But that's I mean, it's
Oh, just to let you know, Adam. So DH Silph too. He was he was thinking the same thing because he was like, wasn't McKinley elected in 1897? So it was throwing him off. That was a tough question.
I couldn't really remember how far into McKinley's presidency he was assassinated. And I thought it was like pretty early, maybe like a year or two in, but couldn't remember.
It wasn't far. I know it wasn't past year 3. I know that. Yeah. All right. So we'll go with our.
Are you good on time, buddy?
Yeah, because we can stop.
We're totally fine. Honestly, we're totally fine. Like what happened earlier with Cave and Michael. That wasn't really supposed to happen, like seriously. And so like we're actually really good on time. We're totally fine.
Perfect. We're at 30. We're at 32.
I think he's just into your game. That's what it is. He's like,
maybe
other commitments.
Now I feel like I have to get the majority of them right from now on. Like, I've messed up too many times.
Now we're at 32,000, so we can't goof up here. This is 100% right now. All right, so we got the 32,000. Now we're at 64,000. Now the questions start to get a little bit difficult.
Oh,
ready?
Thank God, because they've been so easy before. I've gotten them all right.
Yeah, right. Maybe not though. Maybe these are going to be really easy. So, what was the original name of the Barton Distillery, meaning Barton 1792? Was it A, Tom Moore Distillery?
Oh God.
B, Glen Springs Distillery? C, James M. Stone Distillery? Or is it D, the Old Kentucky Distillery?
So I do know that Barton was built around a spring. That is like something that they show you on their tours. So I'm like, is it Glen Springs Distillery? Because they were built around the original spring.
I know they mention it on the tour, and I don't remember. God,
yeah,
I don't remember this. And
I think I'm gonna have to go with Glen Springs Distillery. Is it B? Is B it?
Glen Springs Distillery. Let's see if you're correct. I actually know this one.
Is it
because I made it. They may have said this on the tour. They actually just released this like a special release of Barton 1792, and they named it this.
Okay, because we learned the history. I've been on that tour a few times, so it shows how good my memory is. Been there a few times, I still don't remember, but I remember them talking.
Moore, okay.
Moore. So they
right.
I just saw some posts. I think it was like on Instagram or whatever, of they just released, or they're going to be releasing Tom Moore. It's like a special, like I think they're doing a finishing.
I'm
series.
into it. I will have to get a bottle. I love Barton stuff. I've always been a Barton guy. That was actually the very first from the barrel whiskey that I ever had, like in a rick house, was at Barton back in like 2007.
Oh, and wow!
It kind of changed my life. It kind of changed my life trying it from the barrel for the first time. So, yeah, it was amazing. It was incredible.
Okay, real quick, just a quick side note. Yeah. Have you had the sweet wheat from them?
Yes.
How is it?
It's good. It's not my favorite Barton. It's good. My favorite Barton is the 225th anniversary bottle that they released. It's honey. It's amazing. That's an incredible bottle. I have had the sweet wheat. I thought that was really good. On a side note, one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life is, Barton, their beer well failed last year. The filter or something failed, and it released a bunch of the beer before it was going to distill. The distiller's beer like into the parking lot during, there was like tours were going on and everything. And I remember somebody on one of those Facebook groups, they photoshopped one of the 1792 bottles, and it said street wheat. And I always thought that was really, I love Barton. I love everybody at Barton, but come on, that's really funny.
That's funny.
That's really funny. Yeah.
Because we finally saw the sweet wheat, and I've been wanting to try it, but then I was like, I've heard like mixed reviews on it.
The port finish is really good too. Like out of all of those special bottles, the high rye, I will say is like my least favorite, but it's still amazing. The sweet wheat next, and then the port finish. And then any of the full proofs. I'm crazy about full proofs because I had it from, the barrel. It was one of the first, barrel distillers I had. The 12-year, right? Yeah, absolutely. The 12-year is really, really good. But the 225th for me, I've still got a couple bottles of that at home. And it's kind of what we were saying earlier. I'm afraid to crack them open because they're gone after that. So it's really good. Really, really good.
Oh, yeah. That's
okay.
Delicious. Yeah.
Little side note there.
Yeah, I always forget how many expressions 1792 has. It's like
I mean, if you're counting all the Ridgemont reserves too. I
Oh
mean,
my God, yeah.
You know what I mean? With like the burlap tops.
Yes.
I mean, you got the sweet wheat, you got the port finish, you've got the high rye, you've got the 1792, you've got the full proof, you got the regular and the single barrel. I think that's all of them.
Yep.
I think that's everything.
Yeah, or did you say bottle and bond? I think they got.
Oh, bottle and bond. There you go.
Yeah,
8 of them.
bond.
It's 8 of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, really good. All right. I mean, it's good juice.
It
That's
yeah,
good.
it is, and yeah, and they're great. It seems like they're gracious with, allowing other places to kind of like source from there, and it seems
absolutely.
Like they're all into it, which is cool. Adam, you ready for 125,000?
So ready.
Which modern distillery operated as Labrot and Graham? Was it Maker's Mark, Michter's, Four Roses, or Woodford Reserve?
So I do know this one because I've still got a whole lot of their bottles, and their bottles to this day still say it on the label. That is Woodford Reserve. That was Labrot and Graham. Mm-hmm.
Nice job on that one. Nice work. Right on the money. That's 125,000 right there.
Tell you.
God, I feel like these are out of order. I feel like I've missed some really easy ones earlier.
It's probably my ordering skills here because it's like hard when you try to like figure out like
what's a difficult question and what's
right?
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's tough. It's real tough. All right, so $250,000. Now we're starting to get big boy bucks.
Yep.
What is what is the only brand of bourbon produced and sold before, during, and after Prohibition, and all under the same ownership?
I mean, I can tell you right now, it's Old Forester. I don't even need to look at the choices. That's definitely Old Forester.
You're nailing these top ones here.
Boom. You know what it is? He doesn't fool around with small amounts.
Yeah, those little small piddly questions. Those are beneath me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are those?
Graham, Old Forester. Yeah.
Will, right with you, buddy. We gotta do some studying. Oh my God. All right, so what do we got next? We got $500,000 here. So we got 2 questions left.
But he's gonna nail him. I have a real feeling about it. If I was a betting man, I'd bet on him.
Oh. When acetic acid and ethanol react during fermentation, what chemical compound do they form? Is it methanol, phenols? Let me see what I put here. Lactone or esters? Whew.
That's a good one. So I'm pretty sure esters come from distillation, not fermentation. I think so. And I think phenols are really a big part of like flavors that are coming from fermentation. I'm probably going to say phenols on this, but let me think here. See, chemistry is definitely. Oh, I see a distiller walking by. I don't know. Use your life though. I don't want to stop him because that's an important business. Let's see here. Acetic acid
B or D in the chat. B or D?
I really think it's going to be phenols because I'm pretty sure esters mostly come from distillation. Mm-hmm. So I'm pretty sure it's phenols, but I feel like, is that a chemical? Is a phenol a chemical? I don't know if it's a chemical. I feel like methanol and what is it? Lactone? Is that what lactone?
Lactone.
I don't know, because I know once you start talking about lactone, you start talking about lactic acids and like malolactic fermentation. That is during fermentation.
Right.
Hey, you know what? I'm going to go crazy.
Don't overthink it.
I'm gonna say phenols. I'm gonna say phenols.
And I don't know if you're right. I'm just saying, like, I know what I do and I overanalyze. So
I know, right?
We got some D. People are running D's here. So
hey, Mario, I have a question for you.
Yeah, ask.
Because I'm not a chemistry guy. When acetic acid and ethanol react during fermentation, what chemical compound do they form? Do you know? Man, I know. That's a tough one. You know, I'm going phenols.
Do it. Phenols?
I don't know the answer.
Right? Phenolic acid? I'm going to go phenols.
Phenols? All right, final answer. Let's see if you're right. Don't worry. We're going to keep going if you don't get it.
None of this matters.
Here we go. And what is it?
Esters.
I really thought esters were mostly during distillation, but I'll take it. I'll take the loss on that one.
Maybe they pop in the fermentation a little bit. Maybe it's both. I'm
really good with like the final product, and not so good with like making the product. So this is why they have me on this side of it and not over there with Mario.
I would have never guessed esters.
Yeah,
That's a tough one.
Chemical compound, like all the chemical compounds and everything that happens in distillation and all that, it's just incredible.
It's magic.
Aroma.
It's magic.
Oh my God.
Absolute magic. It's incredible what you can do, right?
It really is. And all those, everything that's like really, you find things like, in the same things found in different foods and everything.
Exactly.
It's like so crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It's also one of my favorite words is flavonoids. So
the flavonoids.
Flavonoids.
Yep.
Sounds like the villain from like Pizza Hut or whatever. The Noid. I don't know. Flavonoids.
Oh, yeah,
the Noid. Yep. Domino's. Yeah.
That was Domino's.
Was Domino's, I think? The Noid?
Yeah.
Beware the Noid.
The flavonoid. We ready for $1 million?
All right, so Will knows. Yeah, esters are totally a fermentation though from the beer world. Yeah, totally. I just couldn't remember esters, phenols. It's a little hairy in there.
It all gets kind of mixed together and everything. Yeah.
All right, $1 million question. Let me have it.
Here we go.
Let me have it.
This is all for you, buddy. Here we are. In 1893, which bourbon represented Kentucky in the World's Fair? Was that Yellowstone, TB Rippey, Old Carter, or Peerless?
Holy shit, that is a hard question.
Hey, we're going to allow the chat to chime in.
So how does the phone a friend work?
I mean, you could literally actually phone a friend. You could text, or you could ask the chat. It's kind of like, we'll keep it open.
It's a little loose around here if you haven't noticed.
I'm going to phone my friend Will Henderson in the chat. Will?
Oh,
you seem like you've been chiming in on some of these.
He was.
I really want to go Peerless with this one because I got a lot of friends that work at Peerless, and they have a really interesting history. So, Will Henderson, you're in the chat.
Yeah, Will's a savvy guy.
He's a savvy guy.
And although I have a feeling he's Googling right now.
Yeah, because
I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, I am too, actually.
So Peter B is saying B.
TB Rippey.
Is he saying it? Yeah.
That's one that I don't know a whole. I've seen it. I've seen some of those Dusties. That are Rippey Dusties. I don't know a whole lot about them. And Peerless is new now, but that's a really old brand.
So is Yellowstone, which I didn't.
Yellowstone really is too. And that I was kind of thinking that, but I don't know. Represented bourbon.
Will is saying, he might go B.
You know what? Will, because you seem like a stand-up guy, I'm going to go TB Rippey. B, final answer for $1 million.
TB Rippey.
That just shows the faith he has in Will. I'm just trying to put that out there. It's $1 million question.
Well, if you get this wrong, I don't even know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, he got it.
Oh! All right, Will, when you come to Kentucky, you get to have a drink with me. Since you let me win $1 million, I'll throw you a drink or two.
We got to cheers to that.
Good job, Will.
Absolutely. Thank you, Will. You win $1 million.
Yeah, the Rippey was pretty much like the whole wild turkey thing. So it was before wild turkey and all that.
Yeah.
And they won the world.
I didn't know a whole lot about TB Rippey. I've seen the Dusties before. I think actually we might have a Rippey here in our Dusty collection, but I just don't know a whole lot about it. So now I know that it represented bourbon at the World's Fair, or represented Kentucky at the World's Fair.
Now we know.
Yep. He'll be throwing that on people the next week. He'll be like, hey, who?
Man, I mean, Thank you. Is all I can say. You know, all my coworkers, they really hate you because I'm just going to constantly talk about that for like the next week. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh yeah, that's perfect. We did it. We got through it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and only missed like 5. It's amazing.
I'd say 3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah, who's counting?
Yeah.
That was good. That was a good time. I like that one.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. We had a good time.
Yeah, this was awesome. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna definitely.
Yeah, I really appreciate you all like having me on for this. This was super fun. You know, I can't wait. You got to go back to that liquor store, and you got to see if it was the Founders Collection. Because if it was, you got to buy that bottle, and then we're gonna do a whole nother one of these, and it's just gonna be Founders all day long. We can just talk about it all day long because that is a complex pour right there.
We're in.
Yeah,
because we could just split it. You know.
Yeah, I'll put a split it on it.
Yeah, we'll fork
Excellent.
it. Fork it. Nice turkey done.
In the future, this was a good time, man.
Yes.
Really.
Absolutely. No, I had a really good time with you all. You know, I just want to. The only other thing I'm gonna say is, you know, everybody in the chat, if you had a good time, you can find me more. You know, every Wednesday at this comedy club. Just try the veal; it's great. No, but every Friday in December and a few Wednesdays here and there too, we're going to be doing a free virtual tour and tasting at the distillery. You can just sign up at rabbitholedistillery.com/Adam. It's amazing. They gave me that link. And you can sign up for one there. We're having one on Friday. We're going to do one on next Friday and the Wednesday after that, right before Christmas. And right before New Year's, we're going to do another one. And even into January, we're going to do a few of them. We're just calling it Give the Gift of Bourbon. So go out, buy a bottle. Neil, go buy that bottle of Founders. Give it to El Jefe there. And that's
now
Give
you're
the
talking,
Gift of Bourbon, right? That's the holiday spirit. And you can enjoy it together when we do a virtual tour here to the distillery and have a virtual taste together too.
We're down because
we're definitely down, man. We had a good time, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
You are
so
very
much.
welcome. Hey, this was a blast. I can't wait to see you all again in the new year when 2020 is finally over. And and thank you so much for having me on, guys. This was really fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, the thanks
times,
is on
man.
this side.
Have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you all very much. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for hanging.
We'll hit this.